I decided to do memory and how to help students remember better, because I tend to find that my students overestimate by about 50% what they actually remember. And the 50% they forget is the detail, the substantive information that helps make their points convincing. They don't like revising, and they don't accept that they forget anything. So they really need to encounter the truth of the fact that they don't remember. So here's 3 ways of helping students both encounter what they've forgotten and fix it in the middle. So the first one, spaced practice, that's how students find out what they've forgotten. I'll speak about that in a second. Spiraling is how to help students connect old information and new information together as the syllabus progresses. And retrieval practice is more what we're thinking about when we're starting to go into the run up to exams. So I'll just speak a little bit about each of those. So spaced practice. Spaced practice is what it looks like on the screen. You need to space your retrieval attempts across time in order to have full retrieval. So the first time you try and remember a bunch of stuff, you will probably remember about a third, you review the information, you have another attempt, you review the information, and by the third attempt, you're fully remembering. So this is simply about interim tests that you can help pupils do. Either they can be surprise tests, or they know that once every 3 weeks they're going to have a test. It sort of depends what works best with your class and your pupils to help them accept that, after about 2 or 3 weeks, they probably will have forgotten quite a lot, and therefore reviewing your notes and having another go is quite an important part of the learning process. So that's spaced practice, spacing the quiz. It can even be the same quiz that you use with them across a period of time, and they just get better and better, and that helps build confidence. Spiraling's, as the syllabus goes up in complexity and you start looking at GCSE and A-level 2-year syllabuses, it's quite hard to get students to retain and connect information across topics. And the way to approach that is to try and make tests not always just about the topic that you are studying, but to pop in old content. And you can either say to them, well, I'm just going to do that, as a surprise. I'm going to choose things which I think are connected, and I'm going to put them in as well. Or you can tell them what connected topics you're going to cover as well. Of course, the really motivated students have already understood that really at the end of every week, if you're working steadily towards a final terminal exam, you should look over your notes and either make little notes on them. If they're really messy, copy them out. I know this is all, desperately unpopular, but I do remember as a student myself that I would get to the end of a week, or maybe 2 weeks, or maybe a half term. I don't really remember, but I would look through my notes, and some of it was such a mess. Couldn't really work out what I'd been trying to note down, and I would copy stuff out and make it all nice and neat. And that I was unknowing, unbeknown to myself, because we didn't really have, nobody told us about concepts like this when I was growing up. I was spiraling. I was working backwards and forwards to try and, retain all the not all the information, not all the detail, but all the bigger concepts and ideas, so that I could compare and contrast. And in fact, when you're doing spiraling, helping the children with this, asking bigger questions like, why did that happen? What's the difference between, I'm a historian, so what's the difference between, Hitler's, invasion of Poland and Hitler's invasion of Russia or something? Making them really reach a little bit beyond the facts to the whys and stuff is working them up towards the mastery bit where they've really mastered the topic. So that's spiraling. It's a bit more demanding. And then you've got, you know, what we call retrieval practice, where you're starting to approach the sort of final section of work, and the students have a body of nearly 2 years worth of work, and they think they're still going to be cramming the night before for this, and that's going to be effective. How to teach them about how to practice retrieval, how to get on top of what they do and don't know. And I suppose one thing I forgot to say is, one way to reassure your students is to point out to them that the things you've forgotten it's really important to forget things, because when you then make the effort to go and remember them and relocate them in your mind, that strengthens the connection, not to that just one piece of information, but that whole section of information. So in fact, you know, forgetting, it's natural, and it's a part of what we do to help us create those really strong memories that will see us through exams. So when I start them off on the idea of, you know, final preparations and how to start that final stage, I say, well, you start with a blank piece of paper and a question. So, you know, in history again, why did World War I break out? In the middle of a piece of paper with a circle around it, off you go. Legs on your spider, just put down as many reasons as you can. You know, Germany was ambitious for land. You know, there was a race for colonies. You know, whatever. You know, put your reasons around it, and then start trying to put some facts around that, and they'll get stuck. So that's stage one. On the left, you see the pupil on his own thinking with a blank desk, you know, and a piece of paper and a pen. And then you can open it up to the class, where they all share what they've managed to remember, and everyone writes down more stuff on their bit of paper. And then you can allow them to open their books, and they can start putting a few more facts and figures onto their diagram. And then they have a 1-page revision template for that question. And that's how I encourage them. I don't know if it works for all subjects, but I'm sure it can be adapted. That's how I encourage them to revise. I said, no, don't sit there reading through your notes. The final retrieval practice has to be the recreation of your memories into an answer to something. It has to be an answer. The sequential trotting through the chronology of World War I and World War II is not going to take you anywhere, because someone's going to ask you a difficult question and all you'll be able to offer is a chronology. It's not enough. You've got to actually practice retrieving information to answer a specific question. And we go. So that's it. That's 3 of my favorite memory techniques. I've put up 3 of my favorite blogs because, you know, just to say a little bit about Pedagoog. Pedagoog is an organized library, if you like, and a web app of probably about 2,500, 3,000 different pedagogical ideas, 99% of them free. So what we did was go and research the internet and look through and summarize what each person was offering. And in that process, we came across really great blogs. I love Cult of Pedagogy. I think the woman behind this is a genius. It's such a beautifully organized blog with great ideas. American, a lot of the stuff was American, but a lot of it was British, and much of it beyond that international as well, Australian, New Zealand, and many other educators from countries have a lot to say about how to teach and how to have success with your pupils. And that's the idea of Pedagoog, collecting all that together, making it really quickly accessible to you. So if you'd like to have a look inside that, I'd be really happy to offer anybody a free trial account, you know, a sample account, and to you know, take your little tour so you know what you're doing. And so just email me at rachel@pedagoog.co.uk and I'll take your little tour and give you an account. And I'm sure it'll be useful for you as a teacher and leader to help you, so I think, refresh your ideas. That's how I found it when I was building it. I was really inspired by a lot of the things I came across, and it wasn't only me. I had a research team researching. It was really inspiring and refreshing. I thought, wow, it's an amazing job teaching. We do all this. We have so much skill, and this is a really good way of encountering it. So thank you for your time. Hope that was helpful.